RHF. Jack your ish. RHF. Never jacked nothing in a long time. Or y'all like to diss Mars. Y'all still listen to Bashir and Ali Muhammad with his fake temple degree. Reggie the doctor, no doctorate. Men admitting they got weave in their hair lock. Even if you were a stone, I wouldn't say you rock. What I say to you flock, stop listening to Seti. Backing up Farrakhan, but you didn't listen to Betty. Didn't listen to Aline Bay, much less research. Don't think I respect blacks in more t-shirts. Stateless trolls, YouTube comment inventors. So conscious but checking off black on the census. Blaming your suffering on America, not you.s. Saying more sold you out when you sold yourself. Sold by your own Adanga kings on African thrones. No honor your ancestors. I see them slapping your domes. Clapping your chromes at targets, never clapping the devil. Unconscious Moors calling themselves what the pot called the kettle. One that's a sleeper. The sleep is because of the devil. One that's a sleeper. Because of the devil. One that's a sleeper. The sleep is because of the devil. There's no debate, Moors deflate egos of the world's most known disgraced people, choosing to have no national name or profit. They claim he plagiarized the European nigga, stop it. Rami El Asaf and Canaanland Moors prove that wrong. If you're still thinking the same, that's cracking your bong. Listening to Shaka is like listening to whack rappers or any of the HOK patriarchal actors, fronting conscious sucking straws, acting all fruity, making a killing off lectures, won't support natural Zahui, claiming Khalid is their general, but won't follow orders, taking advice from the cracker taught attorneys and lawyers, keeping the people dumbed down, not thinking, keep pushing lies on Mars, so our truth on sinking. It will for the few who know to keep it simple. Ron Artest even corrected his name to one of the prophet's principles. One that's a sleeper. The sleep is because of the devil. One that's a sleeper. Because of the devil. One that's a sleeper. The sleep is because of the devil. Nothing more can be said, no pun intended. With no study, what we say won't be comprehended. Some of y'all love the lies from these conscious guys, calling you colors and shades, hiding their lying eyes, trying to make Moors look bad. We couldn't care less. Moors stay upright, aboriginal, independent, and fearless. We might bare necks, no need to bear arms or chests. Dr. Reggie has a Moorhead on his family crest. Polite nose, calling yourself black means you're dead. He said it and recorded it, so we won't forget it. Phil Valentine and Dr. Blair know they're Moors too. So in my Ms. voice I ask, what's wrong with you? Why you stay in the stateless and have no clue? Your name, nationality, and title brought back by Drew. Then you say, what's wrong with me? Like I have a problem. Putting conscious blacks head in the new, solving the Negro problem. One that's a sleeper. The sleep is because of the devil. One that's a sleeper. Because of the devil. One that's a sleeper. The sleep is because of the devil.
So it has right here in the dictionary, black or Moor. And it has the part of speech right under it. Next to it says noun. And it says a black person, man or woman, Negro. Then it has in italics, black in small case, plus then it got Moor capitalized. There's identity right there in the dictionary. It was never even really hidden. You tell these people they're Moors, they say, what religion is that? They are so asleep. The sorcerers did a good job. And we're battling sorcerers. Of course, if we come out talking that way from the door, you'd think we're out to lunch. You understand? People, it's sort of like our arrogance, our poisonous and toxic self-righteousness has cursed us for quite a few generations. We got to fix it.
Rapper Inquisition. iron she conducted. Now a secret chief. Floor Lord of Vic rappers, Mike Sharif. Got producers giving me free beats like Hanif. Cause when I flow, it's deep like a coral reef. Wash up, rapping jellyfish on the beach. Nothing to hide, show my face when I speak. Black power cartels, I black Charles Martels. Hammer them points dull, just like colors pastel. I drop it so hard that you need a hard hat. Rappers take off like Sleepy Hollow heads off on tarmac. You be black, but those whose skin is brown got their own convenience stores and temples in your town. Got politicians in their back and front pocket. Use nationality to protest so pigs can't stop it. Sorta like they can't stop the prophet. No, not J. Rue, but the prophet Noble Drew. Most say who when that name is called, but no Abraham, Isaac, Cain, and Paul. They know rappers' real names and the b-ball stats. They know cards names and religious holy cats. Claim they know it all. I see their mentals crazy. When I'm on the mic, rappers begging for the fat lady, begging for Jehovah and Slim Shady, begging for no physical but want mental slavery. Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.
You know the problem that I have with most of these cartoons is that their reality's as real as cartoons on a road trip. Wile E. Coyote's supposed to know this. You can't outroll the road runner in his district. Pistols cocked back on some Wild West flick shit. Niggas in the rap game like paid parking tickets. Expiry specific. Dietary plans of true greatness omitted. The bottom line ain't shifting unless the gods make that difference. Hook up like nobody's business, but our own with only our interest. Unless the interest of all is sitting on chrome, falling out of control in big lavish homes. And hey, I ain't hating on the soul. I'm just thinking of a life where everything is full, organically grown. Emphatically no, when asked who I want to hold for a label, report or copy my own.
Masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.
The job of resurrectors is to wake up the dead on this mic in full life. Off with the head of the beast and its puppets with love. We serve justice, the first of the earth, the last to get buffeted. They corrupted, the files being purged back to basics. Withdraw from the matrix, recover what's sacred. No more colorable statuses, fiction apparatuses. I affirm and declare, indigenous we everywhere. Circle the seven with our own vine and fig. Visual for the people by the people, there it is. Cleaning up the lies, 5 noble tribes, navigate with the stars. In tune with the tides, more love, more life, all law on our side for the record. The mission is to know self-perfected, corrected, gold and silver back, sword protected from the depths to the heights, the essence, that's right.
Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay.
Sometimes it's good to talk, most times it's best to listen. At times you're always dull, certain times it's just listen. But the mission and the test and the challenge is to overstand the difficulties of the balance. But when you try to build a palace or your temple, it's decomposing flesh. The more you don't clean the physical, the more you smell like that. Don't seek the spiritual, you're gonna get left. Certain crucial, key, vital, essential steps that have to be taken before you take your last breath. But I guess most of y'all can't be bothered. But I bet millions more will be slaughtered. Our public figures keep gone out like martyrs. Too much shotters, we need more fathers to raise the daughters. Lord of mercy, to get to you thirsty, but we still brain dead.
Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Shane Sparks and Mark Houston types got your daughters kissing their friends like entertainment dykes. LGTB and the rest of the crazies. Use rap and R&B to force right your babies. Fam, I used to know to sell crack the scabbies. I'm now legit with businesses, not baby daddies. Codes of the street gone, everybody's got beef. Youths beef with their mom's friend's son from across the street. False flagging by the way they dress, more so fagging. One thing to move with the horse behind the wagon. Brown bodies, DT's bagging with the pants sagging. Claim saved in contract with the seven-headed dragon. Looking for pardons through the officers of the courts. Moors are held at shadow inquisition forts. Some still on the corpse, coke in a can. Turn your pioneer to stone and your blood to sand. Brain dead masses under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Brain dead masses are under mind control. Brain dead masses have lost their soul. Listening to rappers get continuous airplay. They mind control the masses. That's not hearsay. Islam Moors, what is good? What is good? We're here, you know, doing the usual. Canaanland Moors, Tuesday, hitting you up a little earlier today, since we had some time. Islam to all Moors worldwide. Just so you're aware, you don't hear too much people talking about certain stuff. January 20th, 2020. January 20th, 2020. January 20th, 2020. Armed U.S. gun rights activists rally against proposed Virginia gun laws. Armed U.S. gun rights activists rally against proposed Virginia gun laws. More than 22,000 armed gun rights activists peacefully filled the streets around Virginia's Capitol building on Monday to protest gun control legislation making its way through the newly Democratic-controlled state legislature. The FBI earlier in the week arrested 3 alleged neo-Nazis who it said intended to use the event to spark a race war. Hey, Brother Yusuf, Islam.
Hello, Grand Chief.
You're here. I was just gonna say, I'm gonna call you back because it sounds like they're trying something on the line right now. There's this clicking sound. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we can call me back.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you back.
All right, that's fine.
Can't do anything in peace. Always something. We already know. Yeah, like, it's not expected. Islam. Hold on. I'm really tripping right. Yeah, all right, there we go. So armed gun rights activist rally. What was your take from it? From the video that you say you saw of the dude who was at it?
Okay, because just like you were reading, okay, real quick question. Where are you reading that from?
CNBC.
Look at that. CNBC. Now, first thing that they report is that they arrested some neo-Nazi, right? Now, look what this, that's crazy because when you go on YouTube and you watch some regular natural person recording, you'll see that they're intermingling with the crowd, the people who are there. They're intermingling with the people who all showed up at the house of something in so-called Virginia, and it was like millions of them. There was millions of them. When you go on YouTube and you watch it, which they didn't report that there. Like there was millions of them there, standing up for their Second Amendment right. And the people there, one of the main questions that the guy was asking was, do you think the news is going to give you a fair chance? And everybody said no. And one of the ladies actually said, they're labeling us neo-Nazis. That's exactly what she said. And they put it in the paper. Like, that's amazing to me. Like, when you go ask the people themselves there, they know that the news is going to say that about them. They know that. Like, and it's amazing. Like, they're making up these stories. And it's Moors there, Europeans there, whoever. They're all there, exercising their Second Amendment right. The people that they're interviewing, it was a Moor who owned a so-called gun store. And he was there, exercising his Second Amendment right or whatever. And he also knows that all of this stuff is to control the people. Like they're practicing tyranny. Like that's what they're doing to the people. And it's not being publicized. Like right now, like they're trying to sneak this in, the whole gun thing. Like what I'm noticing is that they're sneaking all of this in right now when, the playoffs in football is going on. They just had the NFC or the AFC championship the other day. And this is exactly when they're trying to take people's Second Amendment right away at the same time. And, basketball starting to go crazy and everything. And I'm like, yo, they're doing everything. Like they're doing all of this behind closed doors, but they're pumping this real hard. Like Super Bowl's about to happen. Pro Bowl's about to happen. Like they doing all of that. A lot of award shows is coming on, all of that. And behind closed doors, they're taking people's right away to be able to bear arms. And that was amazing to me. And then another thing because the first thing they said was Virginia, right? And we're taught from the mothers. I remember years ago when I first came into it, she would always say, get their charter. Get their charter. I had no idea at this time what she was talking about. So I'm typing in charter, what is a charter and all of that. So come to find out, a charter is something for somebody to be able to set up their business or whatever, right? So you got to remember, I'm coming from the mindset of Virginia as a company, because when you go look up their charter, that's called the Charter of 1606, that came from King James I. It's called the Virginia Company. So it's a company. Again, we're dealing with corporations who are trying to take away the people's rights. We're not talking about a state or a government of something. We're talking about a board of executives or something, corporations of a corporate entity that's about to take people's rights away and take their guns away. But they don't have the jurisdiction, at all, or the power to do that. But because of the people's ignorance, they're going to be able to do it because everybody's there saying they're from Virginia. I'm from Virginia. And Virginia is a company. It's chartered by, and that's their problem. And it goes right back to, this is Morocco. They got to say that they're ipso juris mores subjects in order for all of that to work. And that's a problem that they have. And because I'm like, they're going to be able to just pass whatever they want to pass because the people are playing games.
Right, and again,
it was huge. Yeah, go ahead, Reggie, please.
No worries more. And again, going back to the whole idea of the charter, is that the charter is granted from a sovereign power, which would be king whoever at that time. But when we say charter of Moorish Science Temple of America and Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the sovereign power is Noble Drew Ali through Allah.
Right.
The sovereign power is not Hers Revised Statute or some Secretary of State BS. That's how you know these Moors don't know what the hell they were talking about or doing after Noble Drew Ali transition. Because if they have a charter, which means that they're a business, then it's right and exact that the Moorish Science Temples of America were supposed to be the Asiatic states. For all these Moors, they were supposed to be the Moorish Science Temple of America was the state corporation for these Moors to get their stuff together, because Noble Drew Ali had this thing locked down. The Moor said he stopped up every rat hole. Do you know what that means when he makes a statement like that? Yo, this Moor said I stopped up every rat hole. That's who was around at the time. That's who was around at the time. The faithful Moors and rats everywhere. Not even snakes in the grass. Rats.
Rat hole can fit through anything. A rat can fit through anything. Anything.
Everything was stopped up.
Any slither. That just bugs me out. That's a profound statement.
Yo, stuff was stopped up.
I covered every rat hole. Like, what? Them things can slide through anything. The way their fur is made, their body bends and can squeeze together. They can slither through anything. I had to look it up. I had a little mice-filled problem. And notice, I'm like, oh, these things can slide through anything. Yeah.
Right? So the charter that came from the sovereign power, from the definition, they tell you who it's for and what it's for.
And who's it from?
And who's it from? So when we check those corporate jurisdictions that they say state or whatever, and then people are saying, I have a state right to bear arms. That's colorable. Because that's not a state, that's a corporation you're talking about. What corporation gave you some rights? And the whole point of constitutions are to uphold the rights, because those pieces of paper don't give anybody anything. What a piece of paper give you? There's a piece of paper lugging these damn groceries from the grocery store to the house. Paper's not helping you. But you only realize when you go check and you don't assume things. Because guaranteed, if you watch the video, there ain't no 20,000 people at no damn march. There was way more people than that.
Oh, yeah.
There's way more people than some 22,000 people or whatever at some march.
It's not to cut your wisdom either, man. But if they go, please go watch them videos, because all the majority of them people, I'll probably say 70% or more, all of them were bearing arms too. And none of those highwaymen, nobody came with no trucks, nothing. Nobody, as they say, nobody wanted that smoke. Nobody came. Nobody came. I'm like, yo, they were all armed. Like, it was incredible. I'm like, they all have guns, like AKs and stuff in fatigue clothing and stuff like that. I'm like, they're not playing. Mask, like they ready to fall in formation. Like, that's what was going on around there. And I'm like, nobody came. As soon as these so-called Negro colors come with cardboard paper in their hand, they come with tapes and all type of stuff.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, yo, that's amazing to me.
Yeah, something's wrong. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong. Something's definitely wrong here. Because there's no way cardboard and hands should be up against tanks. And AKs and AR or whatever and everything else, those have just highwaymen with patrol cars coming up. There's something wrong here. But remember, all these things were laid out. This is 1984 happening. This is Behold a Pale Horse, who people say, oh yeah, they did nothing for anybody. That book did nothing for anybody. That book is just propaganda. Okay, all right, let's just see propaganda. Right. Chapter 10. Lessons from Lithuania. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Don't forget, Virginia and all that stuff's not a state, so don't let me hear you people talking your BS about and putting your guns up and stuff like that. You got rights. Because if you're claiming that you reside in a state, which is a corporation, you don't have rights. These people are about to take your guns. Keep playing.
Yep.
You think that because they didn't approach you because you had your stuff means that whatever? Dumbass. When you left your house to go rally, you left your house unarmed. Who knows what they're doing to your house right now? They know where you live. They got a license. And then you probably got the new car with the GPS and all that stuff, so they know where you are. And they know that you took all your guns with you, like a dumbass. And they already have the door rigged to blow when you push the key in. Now you talk about war and right to bear arms. And then your right to bear arms is to defend a right that you're claiming, but is not really an actuality because you're a resident of a state that's a corporation. So rights don't apply to you. No different than any black guy with a gun is under Christian black codes, and they're going to shoot you if you have, whether you have a permit, don't have a permit, doesn't matter. That's how they would use it. You think these Europeans, that these people are worried about them or something? Don't forget, people who are in quote unquote their police, their military, their navy, their whatever army, all those people are collateral damage. So they don't care if they die in war or whatever.
Yeah.
That's King Alfred plan. They don't care why they die in war. They don't care that they die. They already know. Just throw them a flag and put their name on a wall. They'll be happy. They'll be happy. Thinking you're dying for some country, you're dying for corporations. Chapter 10, and crazy, right? Chapter 10, and then January 20th, 2020. And he had this thing on chapter 10 in the book that was before this article that came out before 2020. But anyway, lessons from Lithuania. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Amendment to Constitution of the U.S. then you're playing yourself there. Because you're claiming some right that came from a constitution that got amended without a constitutional convention, and then you're riding with the amendments, which mean that they can put in an amendment to trump whatever of the articles, because this is not a lawful document, a corpse document. It's not about people's rights. Charter of Rights and Freedoms is not. That's an act. That's a Constitution Act of Canada, which is a corporation, not a country. So what are you talking about rights? What rights are you talking about? Patrick Henry, quote, "I know not what others may do, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." Right? This is how people are standing up. This is the point of us presenting this. We're not presenting this because of some right to bear arms so you could walk around with your piece or whatever. We're talking about, look at these individuals coming together for their right just to bear arms. Doesn't matter what color they are, what they call themselves, whatever like that, whatever. For that thing, they've come together. How come our people can't find a thing like that, you know, with regard to rights, not some blocko or some video shoot or something like that, and people go there just to see the star and all that stuff. We're talking actual real life things. Like people have guns at their house because they have that right to do that. Nobody ever talks about even the quote-unquote corpse that's pretending to be government. They don't talk about taking away the right. They want to regulate the right because they know certain things they're not going to get from the people. People are not going to give up the right to bear arms. That's just what it is. It's been an accepted fact because majority of people who stand up for rights are on the mindset of Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. Like if I can't be free, then you might as well take me out now. Because I don't mind being taken out for my freedom. This is what Noble Jawali was telling these Moors. With your very life, protect the prophet and the movement. Forget his life. What are you doing with your life to protect the prophet and the movement? Who came and told us all this constitutional stuff in the 1920s, and people walked past him because they were waiting for Jesus. And they were waiting for Muhammad, and they were waiting for Yahweh, and they were waiting for Abraham and Moses and whoever. They're waiting for the ancient Kemetic gods to come back from the realm of the whatever. When this man was around them, putting them on game, 1920s. And they're doing him just like they did him today. Through Moors who are putting this up.
Coming back to help them.
Say that again, more?
They even thought some aliens were going to come back and help them.
Right. No. So remember, this is not about promoting guns.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Like that's not what this is about. We're not talking about this to promote have guns. We're showing you these people standing up for their constitutional right. And then as Moors, we're standing up for international law right. The right to a nationality. The same way these people are standing up for their right to bear arms, we're standing up for our right to a nationality. And we demand everybody acknowledge and accept that right or get ran over. because we have the right. And again, you're not a citizen of some U.S. You're not a citizen of a continent. You're not a citizen of a corporation. So where are you claiming these rights from? Where are you talking about constitutions when we got 20-something amendments or whatever, which means that obviously that's not the Constitution, because the Constitution has 10 Bill of Rights. 20-something, what do you mean 20-something? Well, Article 2 said, yeah, but what about 20-something? Like, you don't realize somebody's been playing with your document? That you're claiming gave you rights? And then now, just like when more stand up for rights, they target them and call them sovereign citizen. Now they're taking these people, targeting them, calling them neo-Nazis.
You see that? I said, yo, this is amazing.
They're targeting people standing up for rights, right? They're targeting people standing up for rights, telling the public that these people are neo-Nazis, when all they're doing is standing up for their rights. That their European Constitution that they got from the Iroquois Confederation, which was our foremothers and forefathers, created themselves a document so they can't be taken advantage of by the Moors from across the river, Atlantic Ocean, that were harassing them and kidnapping them and doing all types of madness to them.
Islam Grand Sheikh.
Islam or
it just to add on, it also shows again that it's not about some so-called racism, because they're not playing racism. Yeah. They'll call us sovereign citizens and they'll call them neo-Nazis. They're not playing the so-called race game. Oh, that these white and these they don't play that. They're not playing that. They're playing corporate brand tags. That's what they're doing now, because that's what it's about. It's not racism. That was the old, throw the stone over paradigm. There and look.
Yeah, the old paradigm. Those days are over. It's misclassification time right now.
That whole thing is amazing right now. How you bring that up? Because that's what they're doing.
Like that's like, exactly look. What they're doing. You know what I mean?
Because I'm like, well, look, who's paying for that to be published? You know, who's backing that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because, you know, somebody owns the news and all of that. We already broke that down. We all seen the videos and whatever for that. So, like, look what that agenda that they're pumping. Look how they just called these people neo-Nazis. They called it, like, that's amazing. That's amazing for them to be calling them that. Amazing. That's amazing to me. I'm like, yo, I'm like really bugged out because of that. Because I can't believe that they were just, they're neo-Nazis.
That's straight.
And that's the people who they say, oh, according to the state's constitution and stuff like that. Like, what? These are the same people you're talking about. The state constitution. Those so-called corporate entities are practicing tyranny against the people,
right? And
they're saying to back them, like you said, like a state can make law. State can't make no law. They only can make some type of rule that is in like, you know, in lieu with the Constitution. It has to be in lieu with the Constitution. Just like everybody else in the world, in here, like whatever it is, you better be within the Constitution. It doesn't, like, that's what it is. Like, and you only can you can't change the Constitution or nothing like that. Like, That's amazing. I'm just a loss for words because they call them neo-Nazis, like, and because of the agenda that's pumped behind that. Like, that's really bugging my brain out right now.
And then don't get it twisted either, because when we heard certain people say Million Man March and everybody went, we all know that he's a sellout. Because they have certain background information that they're not going to relieve or reveal. Like they know what's up with regard to rights and all that. They don't have to be playing the color game. But the black leaders choose to play the color game. Because remember, the individuals who set up the rallies and all that stuff, the people who are at the head of that, some of those people are compromised. Like we said, Million Man March, where a million people march somewhere. Same thing, left their house unattended or whatever. Set themselves up. Set themselves up.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Why would they promote the Million? Because the Million Man March was commercialized. That was all over the place. And they pumped that. Everybody knew about the Million Man March coming. But today, yesterday or these past couple of days, with them standing up for their right to bear arms, that has not been publicized.
Nothing.
Why is that?
Nothing.
Well, now who's backing what now? That's my question. Who's backing what?
Yeah.
Because if they commercialize the Nation of Islam, and now that they're standing up for their rights and nobody's commercializing that, well, who was backing the Nation of Islam for it to get commercialized? Because that's getting pumped. And why is that getting pumped?
Yeah. So again, we're bringing this up strictly because it deals with enforcement of the Constitution that Noble Drew Ali told these Moors to do. You don't care about carrying guns and all that stuff. That's irrelevant. That's not even why we're talking about this. Don't get distracted. Because, Canaanland Moors did a class on right to bear arms, so now we're going to go dust off all the stuff and bring out all the old. No. It's about standing up for your right. How they stand up for their right. It's not about some go rallying. Let's go rally for the right to a nationality. No, you're missing the point. The point is to recognize that this is the prophecies that Noble Drew Ali talked about, which is validating his position as the prophet, as we call him. That he wasn't out here just talking BS to get an audience. He brought the salvation to all the people that wanted it. Doesn't matter how you look like. You got nationality, you got certain rights. If you have certain rights, you better stand on them, or these people about to take them away. And he put it on the record. He put it on the record. All of his writings tell us about rights and law and having to be in complete obedience to that force called law. do not neglect her. The last feminine too. We thought it was something else. There's a constant theme with Noble Drew Ali about constitutional enforcement. And the whole concept of constitutional enforcement is so your rights don't get violated. The standard that they have to live by, the people who are proclaiming to be your government, your leader, your whatever they're claiming to be. If they're not speaking on the side of rights, they're probably not in your best interest. If they're speaking from some color code system perspective, more than likely, they are a fraud. Now, again, going back again to Behold a Pale Horse. That at one time, this book was out of circulation. You could not get this book. If you didn't have it from 80s, 90s, because when we really analyze what happened to certain people and why certain things happened to certain people, and we come to the realization that it's because of information that they had, that they put up. This information that they had. We then realize its importance. At that point, we realize the importance of what it is. Because remember, just like Dr. Alim Bey's book, right? When being in the circle of what they would call conspiracy theorists and whatever and all that type of jazz. This book, Behold a Pale Horse, was out before the book was out. So the book being released and then them shutting the book down so fast wasn't because the information wasn't out already. That was just a move by them to stop the information from getting out. Because the whole concept of the conspiracy theorists and all that stuff is along the same lines and the same time frame of when Ashra Kwesi and certain people were lecturing and putting out their information about these Greeks are frauds. And they were showing you first-hand documentation of, you know, quote unquote, black Greeks and black Romans and black whatever. That you could actually visually see it for yourself. Them going back to certain places and documenting things. Once they can stop the information flow, then it's easier to control the people. Again, why was this stuff not in the news? They're talking about everything else. But they're not talking about these protesters standing up for their right. That the so-called government, quote unquote, state of Virginia, whatever, is trying to take away from them. That they were just hip on game because they understood rights, or they would have got their stuff taken. If they weren't on their A game to know that this is happening, this is the difference between Europeans and Asiatics when it comes to rights and law and stuff like that. Europeans know what's up. They already have a certain perspective with regard to law and rights, where Asiatics have all types of different perspectives. They have so many perspectives that they don't even know which one is the one for them to get stuff right. And then every perspective that they try to implement always makes stuff stay the same or get worse. And then everybody's diverting away from the man's program that he implemented in the 1920s, brought Marcus Garvey on, implemented, had this stuff locked down, and then they got rid of them, and then all the people were left like dumbass because they weren't studying. When man told them study. Man told them know thyself. And they're playing around. You get your stuff taken. Then you're complaining, marching up and down the place about something. And then you're seeing other people march up and down, and you think that it's the same. It's not the same. These people are marching for rights. They're rallying for rights. Rights that they realize are being stripped from them when they're supposed to be citizens of this whatever. And they're not coming to the realization that, oh, damn, the reason why they're doing that is because they're not government. Not because they're bad government. No, they're not government. Stop calling them that. They're corporations. They call themselves corporations. You're calling them government. You're a dumbass. Out their own mouth, they say they're a corporation. Man says, I'm president. Okay, presidents are corporations. Man said he's president, which lets you know it's a corporation, and then you're a citizen of that. And then you think because Noble Drew Ali said citizen, he means you're a citizen, like these people say that they're citizens and they have rights that they're going to go march and rally when all these people are wards of the crown because all of them have licenses. And then on top of that, they're wards of the state. Because all these jurisdictions are part of the Queen's quote-unquote realm and the Pope's realm. Because it's all conquering of the Moors, Inquisition, all over and over and over again, under different names. But we're going to go put democracy and whatever. Oh, that's Inquisition. They're about to go there, murder some people, take their stuff, and then say that those people had no culture, that we care to civilize. We brought the water truck for them. Now they're good because we brought the water truck. And we gave all of them cases of water that the bottles are going to end up in stuff, and then they're still not going to have anything. People refuse to wake up, even though stuff's been told. 1991, behold, a payor's been telling you. Explanation. I had intended to write a long and thoroughly referenced chapter on the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. I had to eat humble pie when I read the following text entitled Lessons from Lithuania by Neil Knox. I was contributed by a member of the Citizens Agency for Joint Intelligence. I was impressed by its simplicity and ability to deliver with very few words the precise message that I had intended to convey in 20 pages. Since I believe that sometimes less is more, and since my ego has nothing to do with this book and its message, Lessons from Lithuania has been printed in its entirety with no changes as the complete chapter on the Second Amendment. Try as I might, I could never improve upon Neil's simple statement. My deepest appreciation to Neil Knox and the Firearms Coalition for permission to use Lessons from Lithuania. Lessons from Lithuania by Neil Knox. Those who avoid and evade the reason for the Second Amendment to the US Constitution would surely admit that if Lithuania had a Second Amendment, Mikhail Gorbachev violated it on March 22, 1990. Russian troops seized arms from Lithuanian militia, or was the right of the people to keep and bear arms actually violated 2 days earlier when Premier Gorbachev ordered private citizens to turn in their hunting and competition guns to the Russian army within 1 week for temporary safekeeping, or have them confiscated and their owners imprisoned? Or was the right of the people to keep and bear arms initially violated many years before, when the people were first prohibited from possessing guns without permission of government, and laws were passed requiring every gun to be registered? In fact, the Soviet Constitution guarantees the people the right to keep and bear arms, and Lithuania is part of the Soviet Union, or so Gorbachev contends. But obviously, the Soviet government pays no more attention to that constitutional freedom guarantee than do the majority of US government and International Association of Chiefs of Police, or CBS, and the Washington Post. What is the difference precisely between the confiscation of private firearms in Lithuania and the confiscations ordered by S-166 and Graves Bill, now pending in New Jersey Senate? What is the difference precisely between the registration law in Lithuania, which makes confiscation possible, and the registration of military-style firearms required by California's Roberti Rules Bill, which went into effect January 1st, 1990? What is the difference precisely between Lithuania's law prohibiting the people from owning military-style firearms and the so-called assault rifle bans now pending in both houses of Congress and in many states? The difference is that the people of the United States are free men and women who can trust their benevolent government forever. Note, nothing has so clearly demonstrated the reason for the Second Amendment and the reasons it must be defended than when December 14th, 1981, when General Jaruzelski declared martial law in Poland, placed all press under total government control, and declared all firearms licenses and gun registration certificates void, requiring the licensed owners to turn in their registered guns within 48 hours. Of course, since the government knew where every gun was, except those in the hands of criminals, they had no choice but to comply. Please download this file, print it out, and send it to your local newspaper, putting your name on it if you do think it will cause more editors to run it. Neil Knox, The Firearms Coalition, Box 635, Single Springs, Maryland, 20906. Author's note. This is a lesson that we hope to learn only from reading and not in the manner of learning by the Poles and the Lithuanians. After reading the above, I hope you will agree with me that anyone who attempts to subvert the Second Amendment or any other section or legal amendment of the Constitution is a traitor and shall be arrested and tried for treason. I hope that you will copy this chapter and distribute it as widely as possible to as many people as possible. Education is more than half the battle. In case you have not guessed by now, the fact that most Americans own at least one firearm weapon is the only thing that has kept the New World Order at bay. A ray of hope. As of January 8th, 1991, January 8th, 1991, less than 10% of all California gun owners have registered their firearms. Many Californians stood in the streets with weapons in hand and publicly burned the registration forms. Network news did not cover these demonstrations, and no mention has been made on television that California gun owners have ignored this unconstitutional gun registration law. Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. Yeah, it's pretty much over. And they know it's over.
Yeah.
They know it's over. They for sure know it's over. Now, the other thing is, oh yeah. So, what was your take on the matriarch video? The two that were just uploaded, because I saw that you had some comments with some people on it. So I just wanted you to get to talk about that as well.
Oh, the whole matriarch concept. Oh, now, like I was telling you earlier too, that was a whole nother reason why I had loved the concept of being, our consanguinity is being a more, our nationality being a more, because once I started seeing the principles of it, that it is matriarch. That's what made me even do more studying, because I've only known patriarch, to hear like, oh, it's women, and I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And then to go find, books about the mother goddess in ancient time being worshipped and stuff, and then coming out with the information about all the pharaohs were women and whatnot, and finding out all about that, and like it was beautiful. But then it all made sense, because just living life, like everything gets done through the mother. Everything was done through the mother, the grandmother. Everything has always been like that. I've never seen father rule anything. It's just he just tries, and mother comes in and laughs at him. Like it's always been like that. but in the comment section, I see that people playing a lot of games too, because there's a comment in there from somebody mentioning Act 7, and then I guess the guy makes a video about Act 7, and then when we go see the video, it's a prank. It's not even real. It's somebody playing games.
Yeah, let's just play this game. Tell me when to stop.
I'm glad to know I have a few faith moors amongst you, and all I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth, that there's a host of jealousy about me in the movement. Now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal, but now since they have found out from the government official of the nation of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatic must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can disqualify me, so themselves may take charge of the situation.
Yeah, more.
Now, just listening to him right there, he's either trying to disguise his voice or that's somebody's child. But I'm thinking somebody's trying to disguise their voice because they're playing games. You know what they're doing is foolery. Like, everybody knows that it's foolery, because it sounds like some so-called minority playing games. That's what it sounds like. And then we're supposed to correct that, but we already, even if he's not playing games or not, because somebody can listen to it and think that's serious. But again, the Grand Sheik just went in with a 3-hour class of just killing it and showing you demonstrations of the matriarch. Those videos was amazing too, to see. Every video you showed too, they were all wearing Moorish attire.
Yep.
Turbans and tassels and stuff like that. I was like, oh, they got all the Moorish stuff and sashes, everything. All of them was Moorish. Every one of them. And
the other part, one of the other things with the video that was amazing is that the men weren't bitching about it.
Nope, not at all.
They shut the hell up and they played their role, and everybody was happy. Nobody worried about no cheating and no baby mom drama and nothing.
Nope.
Nothing.
I remember
just
to add
because
on what you just said.
Just because it was matriarchal.
The lady said, no, No, just to add on what you were saying, what the lady was saying, about that being asked those questions, like when they were asked about, the drama or whatnot, they thought the questions were disgusting.
Yeah.
They didn't how can that be questioned? They just, what do you mean? Like, they were just astounded. Like, that's not even around them. But again, that's what happens in this matriarch. As soon as you practice patriarch, destruction.
Mm-hmm. Play this thing.
No complaints from the men neither. I loved it. I loved how the dude
hold on.
had to go.
Hold on.
Some sick people, man. Y'all ain't no true Moors. Y'all not really authentic and really in it. Because last time I checked, all true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing a turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet in the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So there's a lot of Moors out there false claiming stuff, saying that the prophet is this and that, but clearly he's not, man. Noble Drew Ali is not no matriarch. Noble Drew Ali is a patriarch. And you claiming that you for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, brother, is causing confusion. Right there, you is violating Act 5 of the Moorish Zion Temple of America. Because this Act 5 of the Moorish Zion Temple of America, this organization is not to cause any confusion. And that's a lot of confusion going on.
Now, I don't know what body of Moors or whatever these people come from, but when you're talking about letters to be read before every meeting, like, our temple, Grand Sheik Nature's temple, Alim's temple, were all temples that were putting out those readings when we were first brought into this, and there was no more Science Temple anybody saying anything. All of them were in the temple. They didn't know about be outside the temple. So when you're hearing certain things being brought up, divine warning by the prophet and all that type of stuff, and you think that these people who call themselves Moorish Science Temple of America today are the foundation of those writings getting back into circulation, stop playing. These people weren't saying anything. They were keeping everything in-house. They weren't taking this to the public like how they were supposed to since Noble Drew Ali transition. They played masonry with this. And they went underground with this. And then when the social media era came, they started sending out their little minions to go talk on their behalf. Because these traitors would never show their face. And then again, because of, internet revolution and all that stuff, these people had to start showing their face. These people had to come out of hiding. Because so much truth was being put out by active Moors, who were only active because Mother made them active. It was Mother who put the sword on their shoulders and knighted them to go out here and do this work. Because she was unconscious. She didn't know herself. And the sons were picking up know thyself faster than the mothers. So the mothers were caught in the patriarchal realm, thinking that they have to follow behind some more. No, husband obey and all this type of stuff. When you go check the etymology of obey, and you tell me how that means her take orders from him. Now, I know you had some points on that too. If you want to bring that up right now too, with regard to these patriarchal mores, talking about Noble Drawley wasn't a matriarch, or he wasn't dealing with matrilineal mindset.
Yes, you know, as you were talking about it, I was getting the dictionary. I'm right at it right now. The etymology of obey, coming out of the Webster's New International Dictionary with reference history on page 1482. Now, we know that the things that are inside of the brackets means that's the etymology. It says obey, verb transitive, Middle English, obeyen, O-B-E-Y-E-N, and French, obeir, O-B-E-I-R, Latin, obediere, O-B-E-D-I-R-E, and it says to adhere or to hear, see audible. And the brackets end right after that. It says to hear. Obey means to hear. So, like the Grand Sheik said, where does that say that we're patriarch or women should bow to men and like be submissive to men? Obey doesn't mean that. It means to hear. It says it right there in the dictionary. It says to hear or see audible. That's what it says in brackets.
Clear?
That's again. That's what it means to hear. That's it. It doesn't mean anything else. I don't get where they got all of this, whatever. And you know, to me, you know, the prophet is specific because the prophet dealt with law. He know that law is specific. I would figure the prophet would just say women should be submissive to the man. Like he would just say that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say that.
Right. And that's where the thing comes in with people doing their own thing. Right. Like they would try to put that on us. Like, oh well, why would you say Allah, mother of the universe, and you're changing the prayer and all that type of stuff? It's like we're not changing anything. We're just saying what it is. Like what do you mean? Allah, father of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Mother comes before father. Like there's a comma there. One more. What do you want? Doesn't say Allah, father of the universe without a comma. Why is there a comma there? And then if everybody knows that fathers have belly buttons, they came from their mom. So they're not a father, they're a son. But then if you say, you know, son of the universe, then people are going to call him a sun worshiper.
Right.
He's new age and all that stuff. That's not, Jesus means justice. Like, what are you guys talking about? What do you mean? Right? They try to put it on like we're the ones that are changing up things or whatever. We're not changing anything. We're Moors that study. So because we study, we know what's up. We're not believers waiting for somebody to come give us something. No, if you want something, you go study it, practice it, apply it, and then you move on to the next stuff that you're going to conquer. Like, conquering is not go out there and rape and pillage and whatever like that. Conquering is learning. Conquering is overcoming obstacles. Conquering is finish a book cover to cover. Conquering is not, we have right to bear arms, so let's go and you know, flex our muscles because we got all these arms. Like we said, dumbass, think about it. You just left your house unbooby trapped and all that stuff. You're gonna go to war, come home to a raped wife. So your dumbass thought this was about some war, which is masculine, which is patriarchal. It's not about war. This is about peace. They're not talking about some Martin Luther King peace or whatever like that. No, I'm talking about when they say peace. There's a lot missing. There's too much missing. And it's missing because, again, everybody sold you out. And you don't want to get it. You keep playing this follow behind people instead of being yourself. Chasing people, chasing idols. All these YouTube people are idols. Not teaching anybody anything. They're not chasing that individual's frequency so that the world could change. And majority of that change comes from having a greater appreciation for womanhood. Stop trying to play like you own somebody, putting everything off balance. You play like you own nature, that's a mother. Oh, stuff's going messed up. Now you got freaking, you know, hurricanes just any time of the year, you just get a hurricane just because people messed up with stuff so much. Play around with Earth, who's a mother? Oh, now we got problems. Can't even go fish. You even plant your own stuff, chemtrail stuff is falling on it.
It's crazy you mentioned that. Crazy you mentioned that.
Like, you know?
Just to add on to that,
yeah,
right?
man.
So I have this problem where, you know, you've seen it, like I grow my fruits and vegetables right outside, but there's this, like, it looks like a bunch of spider webs. Like, I would see a bunch of, like, it looks like spider webs all across, like, a glaze of it. It'll be across certain parts of my fruits and vegetables. And I will always think, I'm like, what is all these spiders? So I'll just be looking for the spiders, and I'm like, okay, never seen no spiders, but I see tons of these web things everywhere. Go do some research with your chemtrails and stuff that they're dropping, and for sure, that's exactly what it is. It's this mist that is getting dropped, and it's just sitting on top of your plants. It's right there. I see it. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Because there's no spiders. There's no spiders. None. But there's tons of this web stuff everywhere. And I'm like, what is all of this web stuff? And then that's exactly what it is. Them chemtrails and stuff that they drop right over us. Like, yeah, you can be organic as you want, but to me, if you don't have something growing underneath the earth, like, you better be growing fruits and vegetables underneath the earth.
That's crazy.
Like, I did a lot of research on that. That whole thing, they even, well, back to William Cooper, in his book, he's the one that put me on the Seed Act. That they've been taking over the seeds before I was even born. They've been taking over the seeds. Like, I never even had a chance. I'm like, oh wow, when I read it, I'm like, y'all took over the seed stuff in the 50s? Yeah. We knew that, like, they did it like, yeah, we knew that was coming. We knew that was coming. Y'all was gonna try to be, and y'all gonna try to be, you know, on your own and try to do your earthy thing. Yeah, we covered that too. Nobody's doing that.
All bases covered. Then it goes back again. You're saying in the 50s, it goes back again to 1984. It was written in 48. Old stuff. Laying it down to you.
Yep.
Letting you know what's going on. Letting you know what's going on. Being as honest as possible.
Now, I seen, because, like I said, I'm on it a lot, like looking. Okay, so I saw an auction. It was a store. It was a farmers market store that had started in the 20s. And the first, you know how people put notes up on the wall?
Yeah,
for the first opening up the store.
Yeah.
Right. What they would do would be the first day of their store opening, they would save the seed package and put it in the frame, right? They had these two different types of tomato seed packages from the 20s. They went on an auction in like 2015, 2013 or something like that. $400,000 for two heirloom different packages of tomato seeds. $400,000.
The question
these people not playing with these seeds. I said, they know. They know exactly where you want to live. Yeah. Like, because these seeds weren't tampered with.
Yeah.
They took over the seed industry in the 50s. These seeds opened up with the store in the 20s. Once they auctioned them off, I'm like, $400,000. I learned that watching a European who gardens on YouTube. He's breaking it down. Like, and you know, like, yeah, the seed industry has been tampered with.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be hard to get. Like, he's like, it's possible, but then he breaks down that auction. Like, yeah, you're gonna be spending an arm and a leg to get some good seeds. I'm talking seeds.
Just like some seeds are in the law dictionary, and those are costing an arm and a leg right now.
Right. Look, see.
The seeds are in the etymology dictionary, arm and a leg.
Right.
Unabridged dictionary, arm and a leg. And it never used to be like that. Just like the seeds. Knowledge wasn't rare. You can go anywhere and get knowledge. You used to go anywhere and get seeds.
Right. Now you can't bring seeds from, like, if somebody goes to the island, so-called Jamaica, they can't bring seeds back. They got to sneak. I'm talking about seeds, man. I'm talking about callaloo or something like that. Like, no, they got to sneak that back. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't even know it was really. I'm like, oh, that's real? Like, yeah, you can't bring seeds back. You can't bring a plant back. I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. They don't want that in here. And then like, if you're getting any fruits now, because it's wintertime, all the fruits now coming in from Peru, Mexico, outside of so-called United States. That's how they would say that.
Yeah.
In order for them to even come across, they have to sterilize them. They have to sterilize them in order for it to come across. So they're already killing the seed and the nutrients on whatever fruits and vegetables you're getting in the store as soon as they get there. Because they have to control the seed.
Right.
They have to. I'm like, yo, this is amazing. it was amazing to see this. I'm like, wow. And that's back to the matriarch. The seed itself, back to the mother.
Yep.
They took it over that.
Took it over. Like directly took it over. And again, why they take it over? Because we freaking strayed away from honoring mother.
Yep.
AKA nature. You disrespect nature? All right. Then she's not looking out. Disrespect earth? No problem. She just stopped looking out. That's like, again, the naturalizing Moors who have their book where they're playing the prophet, and he put the sister on the ground. He even hold the sister up. She's unconscious, and he dropped her on the floor.
Was that the one with the scimitar dripping the blood?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Book's called The Resurrection. Unconscious sister lying on the ground. Moor did that. Not European. Fez-wearing Moor did that. Fez-wearing Moor did that. Put their self in place of the prophet and then put mother on the ground unconscious. Talk about defending. We're going to defend people against who's trying to. Mother's unconscious. Who's trying to what? Do what? What are they going to do with her? She's unconscious. What are they going to do?
Mm-hmm. That remind me of the Moor who got spit on by his mother for selling Granada.
Yep.
These are the same Moors. Same Moors. We don't be shocked. We're still, like, I love when when Master Teacher is here, when he goes in on that, like, we're still living in that time.
Yeah.
It's not ancient or past history. No, we're still living in that time.
Yep. We're still in the time of dirty Moors selling out our birthright to colonizers.
Selling it. The highest bidder.
Selling their birthright. Because their dumbass thinks that they're selling your thing away. No, they're selling their thing away. You only got a few minutes left.
Right now, because a lot of people out there false claiming stuff that they really ain't. They not authentic and really in it. You feel me? And I'm here to address all that stuff here right now. Like I say, all true Moors. So you a true Moor, you will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. And I know what you're thinking. But what is the law that's laid down by the prophet? That's a good question you ask. I'm about to show you right now. This is the divine constitution and bylaws of the Moorish Zion Temple of America. You see it right here? This is the law that the prophet had laid down for Moorish American Muslims. See, that's the Moorish American prayer right there. There's Noble Draw Lee, the founder, and he gave us our salvation, our God, and all he wanted is unity amongst our people. This temple is for our earthly and our divine salvation. Our God is the Father of the universe, and his name is Allah, and he just wants unity amongst his people. But then you got these Moors out here that's claiming that Noble Draw Lee, is a matriarch. But if you read Acts 7, clearly states that wife, you must obey your husband. Last time I checked, if I have to obey my mama, she's my authority. So wife have to obey her husband, who's
that pause. What I just killed myself. Pause. Hold on. Let's just pull that up. That was I just killed myself.
my
pause.
authority. So wife have to obey. That wife, you must obey your husband. Is a matriarch. But if you read Acts 7, clearly states that wife, you must obey your husband. Last time I checked, if I have to obey my mama, she's my authority.
Yeah, right. Yep. You know, yeah, exactly. Your example proves it. Even that's why you see how it just naturally came off his tongue.
Yep. Because that's what it is.
That was the naturally how it goes.
That's how it goes naturally. You can't
my
force
mama,
it.
Exactly. Because it don't even seem right if my daddy was you ain't gonna say that.
Yeah.
It's my mama.
Yeah.
It's my mama. Exactly. It just rolls off the tongue. It's natural.
Natural.
There's no fighting it. But then he was fighting. He was kicking himself in the behind after he said it.
Yeah. Heel kicks in the ass all night.
That was his mama kicking him, talking crazy.
Yeah. How dare you? And when obey means to hear. So wife, hear your husband. Okay. I hear you. I mean, I hear you. Doesn't mean like I'm listening to your dumb ass. No, Drew Ali was funny, huh? He was funny. He didn't say listen. He didn't say obey. He said obey, right? Right? If we read the divine constitution and bylaws, okay. Wife, you must obey your husband. Okay, obey means to hear. Okay, listen is different than hearing.
This means to hear.
It just means to hear. Doesn't say take him serious. It doesn't say none of that stuff that men's ego is gonna jump in and try to justify obey as something more than it is.
Tell you, that's what my Moabite tells me. She looking me right in the eye. Yeah, I heard you. I hear a sound. I'm like, oh, okay. I hear a sound. That's it. I heard a sound. I heard something. Yeah.
I hear something.
I hear something. That's it. Yeah, that's the truth. That's exactly how she does it. Yeah, I heard something. I hear something. Like, I'm like, do you hear me? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I heard something. That's it. There's no, I'm hopping up. No. You crazy? That's my job. That's what I do.
Yep. Get hot.
Grand sheet. Brother Yusuf, you ready to do class? Apples tonight. Apples. Apples tonight.
Apples tonight.
Take the green sheet there.
Yeah.
Apples tonight.
You know.
Apples. She is not letting none of that. Nope.
Not tonight.
Nope.
Not tonight, yo. Not tonight. Where's he at?
The wife have to obey her husband. Who's the authority? You're right, the husband. Because the husband is the head of the household. So a lot of y'all Moors need to stop false claiming.
No. Let's just ask a question, right? Let's just ask a question with regard to divine constitution and bylaws, Act 7. Husband, you must support your wife and children, semicolon. Wife, You must obey your husband. Okay, well, how come they never read the rest? And take care of your children and look after the duties of the household. Okay, so let's read again. So, husband, this is your job, husband. Husband, you must support your wife and children. That's according to divine constitution and bylaws, that's his job. Support your wife and children. Doesn't sound like you're heading anything. Doesn't sound like you're not even doing any work, you lazy ass. All you have to do is support your wife and children, husband. That's all. But what does wife have to do? Wife must obey her husband, so she has to do that, which just means to hear. So that ain't really nothing. She does that, all day. And take care of your children. Oh, how's she gonna do that if dad's not doing his job by supporting? All the deadbeats out there call yourself Moors, but you're a deadbeat because you're not giving the support to your wife that she needs to take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Now, if he said, husband, you must support your wife and children, and wife must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household, if it's your children and your household, and he's talking to the wife, who's the head of the stuff? If under the husband, it says, support your wife and children, your wife and your children. That's what he has, that's his, the wife and the children. But the wife has the husband, that's hers, because it's your husband, so it's hers. Your children, so they're hers, forget him, and your household. Who has all the power, him or her? Yeah. Anytime you try to say him, we'll slap you with this Quran. So you're talking BS, talking about people violating and causing confusion when you're blowing stuff out of proportion that says clearly in writing right there what it is. Support your wife and children, husband. That's what you're supposed to do. Why would she even hear you if you're not doing that? And should she hear you if you're not doing that? Let's put that out there. Should she obey her husband and take care of her children and look after the duties of her household if he's not supporting her and his children? And of course, the answer is yeah, she should, because she's probably the one doing it anyways. All he wants to do is just put his feet up a little bit and watch the game once in a while. You know what I mean? Chill with his boys. He's not a complicated creature. But when it's time for apples, you better give your apples up. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Right?
Islam, Grand Chief.
Islam more.
Just to back everything you're saying too. This is coming out of the Holy Quran and the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, known as the Circle 7 to Moors. Chapter 22, duty of a husband. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Moors have their Circle 7. They can go to it if they want. But I'm going to start off at verse number 5. It says, "O cherish her as a blessing sent to thee from heaven. Let the kindness of thy behavior endear thee to her heart. She is the mistress of thy house." Now, if you go to the dictionary and you look up the etymology of mistress, mistress means master.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's right here, page 1384. Mistress, noun. Middle English, Old French, it keeps going. Latin, magistra, feminine. Even magistra or magistrate is feminine. Look at that. It says, "See master," or miss, a young woman. So mistress, it says, "See master." So the etymology of mistress is master. The prophet says in the Holy Scripture,
they don't want
this
none
is
of
the
that.
prophet right here.
They don't want none of
Divinely
that.
prepared.
They don't want any of that.
The prophet, this is divinely prepared. This is what they reading in the temples all the time, right here. I don't know how they skip this. I don't know how it said, and then speaking of the word obey, since they love the word obey, it says, "She is the mistress of thy house. Treat her therefore with respect, that thy servants may obey her." What's going on?
What is going on? Seems like Noble Drew Ali was very for the matriarch getting her throne back.
And that's specific. And that's specific. He called her the mistress. That means she's the master. She's the master. Duty of a husband. Be a servant of the master. That's your job. I don't understand how they miss that. They read that all the time. Or they must be skipping over that.
They're definitely skipping over something.
It says, "She is the mistress of thy house." What's higher than that? There's nothing higher than that. That's it right there. That's matriarch.
And Noble Drew Ali brought that. He promoted that. He was in favor of that. He didn't shy away from that, from those lessons. He didn't shy away from those lessons because he already knows what's up. Matriarch rules.
Matriarch cherish her.
Rules. Cherish her. Anybody trying to pull some patriarch whatever on you, mothers, listen. When you have these Moors in the Moor Science Temple of America trying to pull patriarch on you, that's why Noble Drew Ali gave you Quran. That's why Drew Ali did that. He gave you your Quran so you can have these lessons. So you study your Quran so you can know these lessons. And not let him try to play some super chess, whatever position with you. Right? Oh, they're threatened, all right. They're super threatened. That's how you know that, you know, they aren't the ones that are going to be the active Moors. They're not the ones that are going to be the ones that take the orders from mother to go do the work that has to get done. They're not going to be the ones.
I told the green sheep, all I want to do is be the one when they be like, oh, we just need you to move that over there. That's all I want to do.
Yep.
That's it. I don't want to be making the decisions for everything like that. Important. I don't want to do that.
Don't mind her making decisions. Once your mind's right, mother, you can make all the decisions in the world. We're just supposed to be here, just like I say, oh my God, spider, and then we go kill that.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that's it. There's no need for us to play some, you know, whatever type of position. Try to be somebody. No, we have our position. Okay? We have our position. We're going to go back because people in the chat call it talking crazy again and trying to bring their little process stuff into nationality. You can't claim that you have inalienable rights, but then you're going and leaning people. If you're claiming rights that are unalienable, then you have to grant that to everybody. If you have a right to bear arms, then police have to have a right to have arms too. Because that's just how it is. Because they're supposed to be the regulated militia. But if they know that you know that they're not really police, they're mercenaries or whatever like that, then it's free for all. The rights go back to the hands of the people, which liens are not going to be needed because everybody's going to have their right to bear. And trust me, they're not going to violate anybody's rights when people have right to bear arms. Forget they're going to shoot somebody. Just the fact that somebody has a right to bear arms would stop a highwayman from pulling over people for BS. If you didn't watch the movie Fargo.
And that whole thing was crazy, man. Because when you watch it, Grand Sheep, now when you're really looking at it too, those people that was bearing arms, some of them people were highwaymen.
Yeah. Who they took constitutional oath and all that stuff. So you think that they're gonna ride with some corporate state when they know these people are coming with every single arm? No, probably not. They're gonna take their little guns that they got from the highwaymen and bring them to the rally too. And again, that's how when you read the literature and you hear about tanks and soldiers and stuff like that being at convention and all that stuff, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were Moors in the military that knew they were Moors. Even if they got classified black or whatever, they knew they were Moors. They weren't missing their meetings. That's why it's in the literature that there was tanks and stuff like that at temple meetings. The Moors Day, he's in town, meetings going on. Yeah, he's probably going to go in uniform. More than likely. Fez up, uniform. Right? Right, what you, as a natural person, you're not going to file a lien on somebody. You're going to give them a notice of intent to sue. And let them know that they have whatever time to correct their BS or you're going to sue them for the BS that they did. The thing is, like, what we have been taught from the master teachers, that individual single suits are BS, because you only getting the win for yourself, not the nation, which makes you an island, not a nation. Don't talk about national or whatever if you're the only one with the tags and then nobody else has the tags. Now, you know, that might be the road that that individual in that jurisdiction walked, which was supposed to enlighten everybody else around him. Like, hold on a second. This guy's been riding with his own tags for the past 90, 10, 15, 20 years or whatever. And I'm dealing with these people with registration and license and pay for something every month. And every time I get a ticket, every time he goes to court, everything dismissed. Every time I go, I'm paying. And you're not going to go try find out what that guy knows? You're a dumbass. So, yeah, certain people are individual in exercising of their rights. But if you're claiming that you're a nation and you're a L and a Bay and you're going to go sue, there should be class action attached to sue. Because it's supposed to be for the nation why you're suing, not your individual whatever that you want, because you're egomaniac. So because you know that that's the protocol, because you know that that's the standard of suit, and you can't do that as an individual, you're going to go out there and do liens and all this type of stuff, and again cause confusion. Because half these people aren't even going to look up lien to know what it is, much less be able to deal with the paperwork to lien somebody. Telling you that these people know what's up. And they've been sent here. They've been sent to make sure that you don't get it. And the only reason you don't get it is because you don't study. Because if you studied, you would get it. If you study, you would get it. There's a lot more.
Islam. I'm glad you said the part, if they study, they'll get it. Because if you just coming into the information and you're not studying on your own and you're just watching videos, they're gonna get you.
No, they're definitely gonna get you.
You stressed the fact before. It's not like it used to be back in a couple of years back when you were just coming into the information. Now it's crazy. You know, there's so many mortgage websites. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Everybody knows something.
And everybody's selling something. And I'm like, I don't even understand what your package you could be selling.
Right.
Hold up. This is the more bike calling. One
yeah,
trick.
more.
That's what.
Right.
And come with the law, man, because we all know law govern all events. And these Moors out here saying Overdraw Lee is a matriarch. And that's highly disrespectful. I'm gonna show you why that's disrespectful. Because any member or group of members who holds malicious feelings toward a temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive the reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. So if you a true Moor, you would know something, man. If you're a true Moor, what is the divine covenant of the Moorish movement? I'll wait. All true Moors will know what is the divine covenant of the Moorish movement. And if you violate that, you will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. Whew. Boy, that's some laws you should not violate. But let me show you what's the divine covenant. Oh yeah, guess what? It's Acts 7. If you go down, it say this divine covenant from your holy prophet Noble Ali through the guidance of his father, God Allah. So this is a divine covenant now. And then they're going to go ahead and say Noble Ali is a matriarch. And let me tell you something.
Now again, when ones take the position of saying Noble Drew Ali and they honor him and all that, and try to convince you that he's patriarchal and not matriarchal, you know that you're dealing with the ones who came into this, usurped the information, right? Came into this, usurped the info, and present it as something that it's not, in order to do what? Cause confusion. Cause confusion. Now we can go to chapter 25, and there's a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation, and then a divine covenant of the Asiatic nation. But if dumbasses would study, they would know that covenant is a compound word. And a coven is a gathering of witches. What do you mean he's matriarchal? He's not matriarchal. The divine gathering of witches. Oh, he said that Noble Drew Ali said what? He said that Noble Drew Ali said what? This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Drew Ali through the guidance of his father God Allah. So his divine gathering of witches is from your holy prophet. What the hell is he saying? He's saying that he got all this information that he's got from the queen mothers, the Sibyls, the Pythonesses. That's why on the divine constitution and bylaws, Noble Drew Ali is in the middle, dressed like a woman, wearing a dress. We're going to talk about robes and stuff like that. You already know the fez is feminine. You already know that that's feminine. You already know sashes. The sash is not a belt. The sash is to separate the lower self from the higher self. You know, the stand. You know, the feet standing on the square, and the square is 90-degree angle, and then 90 is feminine. What you mean? 9 and 0 is 9, which is woman. 90, 180, which is woman. 360, 90, 9 is woman. 720, 9 is woman. What do you mean he's patriarchal? How is he patriarchal? How is he patriarchal? How? Explain. Because a coven is a gathering of witches. So if he has a divine one of those and a holy one of those, what the hell is he telling you? That this is patriarchal? If you get that a divine gathering of witches is patriarchal, you need to go get a psych test or something like that. You might need to be in the rubber room. You just might need to be in the rubber room. You people are tripping. Tripping. Now the other one that we had to deal with. Oh, you had anything before we end that chapter?
Yeah, I wanted to add on again, back to the circle 7 again, chapter 28, right? To bring in the chapter 22, the duty of a husband. I can't remember. I think it was Brother Hassan who told me about that chapter 28. When you break down chapter 22, with the mistress being the master and the duty of a husband, which was saying that us being the servants to the mistress, the mother, will bring home the fact correlative to chapter 28 with the master and servant. So then when you read chapter 28 in the mindset of the mother and like mother and husband again, master and servant, you'll see again, right with that concept in your mind, like, okay, she's the master, me being the servant, and then reading that, you see again that the whole thing is back to matriarch. And just in chapter 28 again, and when I read it, I was like, wow, because mistress means master, like, and then down chapter 22 and then chapter 28, it brings back it backs chapter 22 again, because he told you in chapter 22 who the master was. It's her. And he told you in chapter 22 who the servant was. You, the husband.
Everything's right there. Everything's right there. But you've been,
divinely prepared.
Played. You're being played by your own. Just like certain people who out here and they're under federal investigation for some fraud, some Medicare fraud BS, and then we're hearing that they got more nationality paperwork.
Oh yeah. Yep.
How is it that somebody who came up in Scientology and all that stuff, and they wear bow ties and all that, they have nationality paperwork in the background that they're not telling the people about? And then they're playing people talking about Islam is their title. Islam's not no title. Islam's not a nationality. What do you mean that's your title? Like, what do you mean that's your title? How is Islam your title? How? But they got Moorish nationality paperwork though. Like, they know that they're Moors. They have paperwork stating that they're Moors. They have private affidavits. But they're not telling you about your nationality and birthrights. They have the Great Seal on their documentation that says they're a Moorish American national in propria persona. They're in propria persona, and they're not telling you that you're Moors. And you're telling me that somebody else is the sellout, or Moors are the sellout, or some other BS. And these people know that you're Moors. They know they know what's up. They know exactly what's up. Right? That's why nationality is the call. Because even in Noble Drew Ali's time, nationality was the order of the day, because he knew he wasn't no goddamn Cherokee. That's why 101 questionnaire, what's his nationality? Moorish American. What's your nationality? Moorish American. Okay, so if he's telling you my nationality is Moorish American, then he's saying I'm not Cherokee. He's saying I'm not Los Indios. I'm in full life. I know who God is. God's my mom. And I'm not going to talk about her or my dad for you guys to make a shrine out of them like you did with Joseph and Mary. You're not going to do it to my parents. Try to make me like some Jesus or some BS like that. I'm Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That's all. I'm probably trying to put no crown of thorns on me and walk me up to some mountain about get on the cross and all that stuff, because we're Muslims. We're scientists. What are you talking about? I was at the governor's inauguration or whatever. What the hell are you talking about? The religious whatever. We're a religious man for some dark-skinned people is going to getting invited to governor's inauguration. And them NOIs aren't going to answer to anything. We just told you that one of their top bow tie guys has Moorish nationality paperwork. And right now, they're in court. Right now. Right now, they're in court. They just got bail. Charged with contempt because the court is telling them that they're making a sovereign citizen argument. They're not sovereign citizens. They're Moors. Nationalized Moors. Declared their nationality, have paperwork and all that stuff. And they're going to court talk about these people don't have any jurisdiction over them because they're outside of the jurisdiction of the United States and all that. That's how Moors talk. That's not how sovereign citizens talk. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no such thing as sovereign citizen. I don't know. I don't get what you mean when you say that. All these people know that you're Moors and they're selling you out. Trying to make you be Hebrew and make you be all this other BS. Have the mothers wanting to take some subordinate position, and then have the sons wanting to think that they're in some superior position, that they got something that they didn't get from mom. Everything you got from mom. So you have a belly button. Everything. People are playing you. And we're telling you they're playing you. It's not assumption. Now we're telling you, Moors, assumption. Now we're telling you, Moors, whether they're temple, dirty, whatever, Moors are playing you. All the chematologists, whoever's are playing you, because they know that over here is Egypt. All the Hebrew Israelite whoever's are playing you, because they know that Hebrews are Canaanites. And El Shaddai was before Yahweh. Stop the BS. Go back and honor your foremothers and forefathers' creed. Don't be honoring some modern creed.
Yeah, so Islam, Green Sheet.
Islam, more.
I found another one too.
Oh yeah, go ahead, more.
We did the because you just mentioned that the chematologists never tell them that over here is Egypt. I mentioned before the Algiers, Louisiana, and I showed the video. You can go, it's on my channel. Algiers, right here in Louisiana. But the other thing is, I found Tunis. Tunis is right around the corner from Algiers. It's called Tunisburg, Louisiana. It's right there. Tunisburg, spelled Tunisburg. Tunisburg. It's Tunis, right there next to Algiers. Bugs me out, to see, I'm looking, but that's Tunis, that's Algiers. All of these places were established before the United States even existed.
Right.
They were already there.
And then that's why they have the manhole cover in San Francisco talking about Barbary. Why is that there?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that there for? In San Francisco, which is near water, which means that there had to be ports there that were ran by the Moors.
Yep.
Because Moors are the only ones who are the navigators of the seven seas. Nobody else has that title. They don't call anybody else that. Only Moors. Navigators. Anytime I talk about navigation going in the water, they're going to show you some papyrus reed boats from ancient Egypt, and they're going to tell you about some Mansa Musa and all that stuff sailing over here, 300 ships or whatever. Regardless of what they call themselves, they're selling you out because they all know what this is about. The Moors in the Moor Science Temple know that this is about nationhood, not about some building called Moor Science Temple. They know that. The people outside of the temple who are playing games, they got nationality cards or nationality paperwork and trying to convince you that you're not Moors. But when the get down gets get down, they're going in court and making sovereign citizen argument, which there's no such thing as a sovereign citizen argument. That's a Moorish argument. There's no patriot Europeans that came up with some concept of sovereign citizen. If that's the case, the founders of the United States are the sovereign citizens. The people who founded the United States are actually the sovereign citizens, if we're going to say Moors are sovereign citizens.
Yeah.
And people who stand up for rights are sovereign citizens. Well, George Washington and all them people were standing up for rights. We never call them sovereign citizens, though. Never call them sovereign citizens. When they're doing the same stuff that Moors doing. What are Moors doing? Moors saying standing up.
Right. The whole thing. The whole thing. The whole thing. They're Thomas Paine and his famous speech to get them riled up to their Declaration of Independence. To their whole thing. Their whole thing. So that's sovereign citizen.
But they never apply it to them.
They never apply that to them. Right. They never apply that to them.
That's just what it is. Don't get mad. Get knowledge.
Oh yeah, another thing I noticed too, doing a lot of walking, right? Walking. I go past the cemetery, right? And on the tombstones, even the names on the tombstones are all caps. I said, now, wow, look at that. And even all caps, the names on the tombstones. It was amazing to me. I was like, yo, that's just incredible. So now everybody's going to see it. They're going to see it. Every time they go to the cemetery, they really all caps, every name.
So again, anybody with a camera just going to upload stuff. And, you know, people are going to be chasing behind stuff just because it's a hot topic, talking about morals and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, a couple questions on the on the Islam thing.
Yeah.
The fact that, so did he so it really just says Rizla Islam. There's no Bay, Il, Day, Ali, nothing at the end of that?
None of that. None of that.
Because I wonder how that worked. Even for his like his mother, she didn't put Bay, Day, Il, none of that neither?
None of that. But that's how you know that they're running a fraud. Because how you got Moorish paperwork when everybody knows? As soon as you start talking L and Bay and all that stuff, you're talking about Moors. Everybody knows that. Especially people around here who are in so-called, whatever you call it, government or whatever like that, these corporate jurisdictions. They've engaged Moors enough to know who the L's and Bays are. There's no way they don't know. So no wonder they'll classify you as sovereign citizen. Because immediately a Moor will be like, nah, that ain't. Yeah. Immediately a Moor is going to be like, oh, no, we're not that. They're just using this to try to get out of some stuff. Not trying to liberate the people. Right? What they want to try to do is use this, get out of their stuff so they can come back out here and start doing the same BS again. And then tell you about some Nation of Islam power is why they got out and all that. When not, they had Moorish nationality and Moors, whoever these Moors are, that are schooling them, giving them this knowledge, and then they're taking that to court, applying it. That's what they're doing.
And still straddling the fence at the same time.
Because they should just come out and tell the people that they're Moors and stop playing around. Or just tell the people that they're Moors and stop playing around. Why play around with people when you know better? You have to know better.
Slavery is business. Slavery is a big business. So slavery is it's scary. That was the truest thing I've heard. That European lady said, I was watching this video, because we've heard war is good for business, Human trafficking is good for business. But when she said ignorance is great business, I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What did you just say? I was like, wait. What do you mean? I was like, that's the whole coverall, everything. That's the number one seller is ignorance. Because nobody wants nothing else. They don't want the truth. Everybody wants the ignorance.
Yep.
If it's not the BS, it doesn't sell.
Yep. Straight
they
up.
only want the ignorance. Ignorance is business. And I was like, I'm like, man, you can sit there, like right now, Grand Sheik, if you wanted to get together a platform where y'all was going to bring together all these different people and talk about the slave trade and 400 years of slavery,
oh, they'll be
man,
down.
get that
line up down the street. Tonight, line up.
Everything. You'll be Symphony Hall. They'll rent it all out for you. Get everything. Everything. Big time. Everything. For that BS. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen. You bring that painting of us packed like sardines. They love that painting. You put that up on the big screen on the billboard, and people will line up. Crazy. Go get some chains from Walmart, put that rusted spray paint on it, and people will tear it up. It's the ignorance. They love it. And be like, these chains is from whatever slave ship. And people would sit there and start crying, loving it, giving you all the backings of it and everything. Ignorance. Great for business. It was funny and like fearful at the same time. I'm like, man, that's terrifying. Like, wow. Like people are gonna make a living off of you being ignorant. And they're gonna get very wealthy off of your ignorance. That's amazing to me. I never thought to think that. Like and that's huge business.
Crazy. It's big business too. Big business. So of course we gotta stress the point. Right. The Sibyls, the first prophetess of Mamiwata, the theft of African prophecy by the Catholic Church, by Mama Zogbe. You gotta do it. So Morris could wake the hell up. Stop playing around. Like, so go to your Nature Knows No Color Line. If you have the Nature Knows No Color Line book, go pull that out. Pull out that book right there. Nature Knows No Color Line book. Nature Knows No Color Line book. And flip through it to the middle where it has the blackamoor heads. All the different blackamoor heads. Right? You don't care what anybody else calls themselves. You can call yourself whatever you want. This is a message to the mothers that are L's and Bay and want to play some Act 7, follow behind some man BS. right? When Noble Drew Ali told you that it's all about you. He's holding you on the cover of the 101. The more you want. He's holding you on that. He's not holding a brother. He's not holding a brother. He's holding a mother. Page 57. There's a picture of this blackamoor head. Blackamoor head with the serpents. And then the serpent is making the infinity symbol under the mother. Right? Which, you know, which is telling, you know, forever your covenants. Forever it's meetings of witches. Forever it's Medusas. Don't make eye contact. You look at the floor when you deal with Medusa. Just like you say, look back, turn to salt, and then dumbass want to look back and see stuff, then you stay there as salt. Don't let Medusa turn you to stone because you think you got this locked. Well, I mean, you know, you could have this locked if you're in tune with the feminine frequency and, you know, you won't turn to stone. If you honor Medusa, show your allegiance. Well, what they would call in witchcraft, give sacrifice to her. Yeah, allegiance is sacrifice. Cut the chicken head and spray the blood and all that stuff. Sacrifice, yeah. Take the goat tongue and then hammer it in the parchment and all that. Yeah, sacrifice. Give some fruits or, you know, cook some food, leave it at an intersection or whatever like that. Sacrifice. Remember, J.A. Rogers resurrected these images for us. The blackamoor heads that were on the family crest of Europe. One of these crests was a mother with a serpent making an infinity symbol around her. Serpent making the infinity symbol. Serpent making the infinity symbol. Keep in mind, why is serpent making an infinity symbol? Because forever you're witches. You're forever witches. You understand you're forever witches? We just told you that these clowns out here are telling you about holy covenants and all that stuff and divine covenants. When we tell you that a covenant is a meeting of witches. Oh, Noble Jolly was on some pitch. All right. Whatever. Figure 12. Sibyl image taken from a Moor coat of arms, Phoenician. Draped around her neck is the serpent of the original Adama, known in ancient Egypt as Osiris, and later as the ancestral Aesculapius, Dionysus, Attis, etc. In ancient Egypt and Ethiopia, these Sibyl oracular priestesses were known as the Black Doves. They were also called Pythias or Python priestesses. Their accurate prophecies, originally meant for the ancient African world, were later plagiarized by the Levites, Hebrews, and later by the Roman Church, and attributed to non-African male prophets. By default, the Sibyl, the Sibyl prophecies and oracles were directly instrumental in building the ecclesiastical foundation of Christianity and for shaping the geopolitical dynamics of the ancient world. This is you. Remember, this is the Blackamoor family crest with the mother on it, with the serpents all around her. And we already know why the ancient foremothers and forefathers of ancient Egypt had the serpent on the crown. And then she has serpents draped all around her. And then Medusa has the head of serpents. And then the staff turned into a serpent and ate the other staff that turned into a serpent. And you still don't get what's going on? You still think this is some patriarchal BS? When the only way the stuff's going to get back is if we give mother her throne. The Heru's throne was Isis' lap. A Set's lap is the son's throne. The prince, the king, the priest, the whoever, the rabbi, all those guys sit on a throne. That's their mom's lap that they're sitting on. It's not a throne. It's their mom's lap. Because matriarch's the only way that we're getting out of it. We're not getting out of it any other way than getting back in line with nature. Whether you get in line with the matriarch called Earth, get in line with the matriarch called nature, get in line with the matriarch called woman, get in line with the matriarch called universe, get in line with the matriarch called the mind, get in line with the matriarch called the heart, get in line with the matriarch called love, get in line with the matriarch called truth or wisdom, or whichever one you want to choose, pick one. Get in line with the matriarch so we can change this thing around. Other than that, it's not happening. And then if it's left up to them alone, then they're going to get this thing that the men aren't doing or whatever like that. And then you know what they say about a woman scorned and all that stuff. Like, you don't know what the hell the lessons are. That's why Noble Drew Ali told these Moors, instead of one apple, give her two. Don't even play around with only bringing one apple. You might as well bring 5 if you're going to bring 2. What are you saying? Instead of one apple, bring 2. He's saying go over and beyond the call of duty for her. Just because the what comes back around is going to be worth whatever it is that you think you put out because you did so much and did do so much and not get nothing back. Don't worry. What comes back around is going to be quadruple what you gave up just because you honored mother. And again, go through the line. There's not a woman that you can say, well, I'm going to honor her because you think all women are whatever. Fine. Go honor nature. Oh, you got a problem with nature? Okay, fine. Honor the mind. You got a problem with that? Okay. Honor warm water. You got a problem with that? Honor alkaline. We got it's feminine and everything. So it's not like you can't find your way. You can't find the balance by honoring mother. All it takes is putting down your superior, egotistical, whatever, and give honors to mother. Because all these priests and whoever, they already know what's up. Jews did away with the worship of their primary black goddess. and elevated her minor consort Jehovah in her place. That's what the Israelites did, because they were so patriarchal. They had their beautiful Asiatic goddess queen or whatever, and then they gave her up for some nigger, and now they're worshiping him, and then talking about that's the foundation of their stuff. When Shaddai is a girl's name, El Shaddai, if you take out the quote unquote Hebrew language accent, that's Sade. Everybody knows Sade from down the street around the corner. That's the Hebrew God. Hebrews call her Shaddai. But that's Sade from around the corner. Everybody knows who. Yeah, that's who the God of the Hebrews is. And then keep, just like they did with Noble Drew Ali, passing him, waiting for some Jesus. Waiting for Jesus. No Jesus coming. Zero. It's not happening. Because who should be waiting for his mother? Again, get out of the patriarchal stuff. Waiting for some man on a horse to come and give you some salvation. And then mother's right there, you're ignoring her. She's right there. She's right there. Ready for activation at any time. All you gotta do is say the word and give honors. No, you don't want that. There's a lot more. You have anything to add?
Yeah, Islam. Earlier you mentioned the word, you had said, choruses or whatnot, they're thrown with their mother's lap.
Yeah.
And so, I had to look up the definition of lap. Etymology of the word lap is a sense of the lower front part of a shirt or a skirt led to the back of upper legs or of a seated person, circa 1300. So it comes in the 1300s, and used figuratively as a bosom, breast, place where someone or something is held and cherished. So I thought that was interesting. Like, okay, yeah, because it's being cherished, and as much as it, like, yeah, a place of throne. A throne is basically where you will be cherished at.
Where you're honored. Yeah, that's where you're honored from.
It starts at the lap. That's where the throne is.
Right.
It just was, and when you was, because like you said, when you was naming all the things, you don't want to worship that, you can, all right, try this. Everything you was naming, I was like, it's still all matriarch. Everything you named, I was like, yeah, that's matriarch. That's matriarch. That's matriarch. Everything. It's going to be hard not to worship the woman. And when you try to do it, destruction.
That's like we were showing. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just gonna say it reminded me too. Even the so-called Pope, he worships the Moabites.
Yep.
He's not worshiping no man.
And then why are they ruling? Because they recognize matriarch. They just have the queen running the stuff. Just the queen, no king. Every queen has a king. We go anywhere else, queen has a king. How come this one queen just her? And then they run everything. Now, this is the picture we're talking about that Noble Drew Ali has on the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, which tells you about the Divine Covenant, which a coven is a meeting of witches. So if he's telling you to honor the divine meeting of witches, this is Noble Drew Ali we're talking about, because he told Morris study. And he told us that we're not Negro, black, colored because of etymology, not because of our personal feelings towards words. And if you look up etymology, covenant is going to lead you to coven, and coven is a meeting of witches, which is a corruption of Sibyls, which were prophetess and high priestess who were ruling everything. Think about this. When they talk about all that stuff about the aliens came down and helped, it was mother. There weren't some aliens that came down from anywhere. It was mother. Because she was so powerful that they thought that was some extraterrestrial. When she sent light beams and stuff like that through the moon to Earth, and people see those light beams and says angels coming and stuff like that, it was just mother. That was her. Holy Ghost, that's her. Not some ghost. It was actually her. Gender code words such as man and lord that did not exist until the advent of patriarchy are clearly edited versions of the Sibyls' original prophecies, which always made reference to the Divine Mother. Masculine pronouns were inserted by church officials to render them consistent with their own corrupted church doctrines. In spite of this, the Black Montanus movement quickly spread in the African diaspora religious communities all throughout Europe, Asia, and North Africa. So afraid and alarmed at being exposed, Roman church officials haphazardly and routinely rounded up these followers and tried to exorcise the divine African spirits now classified as demons from them. When that didn't work, they simply had these followers excommunicated and accused them of heresy. Expressing the general sentiment of the Roman papals and patriarchs against these African women, Roman theologian Hippolytus categorically denounced the Sibyls, claiming that the Montanus have learned more from these women than from the law and the prophets and the gospels. But they magnify these wretched women above the apostles, and every gift of grace. Women, just so the mothers, just don't get mad. Don't shoot the messenger right now, because I know how when you guys hear certain stuff, you gotta go nuts at all men or whatever. Just remember, me and Brother Yusuf, we're paying our little dues right now. So when you send your stuff back, just make sure you miss us with the stuff. Make sure you hit your desired targets, not innocent bystanders. But please. But they magnify these wretched women above the apostles and every gift of grace, so that some of them presume to assert that there is in them something superior to Christ. What angered imperial church officials the most was the audacity of the Sibyls to structure their church hierarchy in the original African matriarchal Sibs and elevate Eve, a disguise for mommy, above Adam. This spurred Greek theologian Eusebius, whom fueled with misogynist rage to declare, the Montanists maintain a special reverence for Eve because she ate from the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden. They acknowledge the sister of Moses as a prophetess in support of their practice of appointing women to the clergy. Women among them are bishops, presbyters, and the rest, as if there were no difference in nature. Nonetheless, Hippolytus did convey that the prophetess preached the end of the world, were the first to introduce dietary restrictions such as fasts and festivals, meals of parched food, and fasts of radishes, alleging that they, the Montanus, have been instructed by women to do so. They went on your mothers, and then there again, we're going to go again to the Blackamoor crests that had women on them. The Blackamoor crest that had women on them. Blackamoor crest, figure 22. Sibyl Queen Mother, triple crowned as Black Diana. She was worshipped as a triple-headed Janus in Rome. The double-coiled scarf represents the twin serpents of the Mami. So the double-coiled scarf is, you know, when the sisters put on the turban, right? You know when the sisters put on the turban, and then they take the ends and then they spiral them like the caduceus, or they spiral it and it looks like rope and then they wrap it around. Those are supposed to represent the serpents.
Yeah.
That's why they do that. So when you see sisters, they say, oh yeah, put on a turban, and then they do the coil, the cloth, and then wrap it around the head, and it looks like rope wrapped around their head. That's actually serpents. This is how much they are the Sibyls. They don't even know that they're making serpents out of cloth and putting them over themselves and talking about this is turban style. It's not turban style. Those are serpents, because ancestrally, you're Sibyls. You're serpent queens. They're not queen in some damn patriarchal position about queen means whore and all that stuff. Right? Queen being the mistress. If there's a husband and then a wife and then the mistress is who runs the show, not the wife. The mistress is going to be the one that knows who the wife is and all that stuff. The wife is really the side chick. Because he's going to do everything to hide and protect the mistress. And again, that's because of her and that warped perspective of wife and you're subordinate to some man. Till death do us part, so he could beat your ass, but then you can't beat his ass. Not promoting violence, just making a point. That's always matriarch that rules. Stop the BS. Stop trying to make it like she's some subordinate. She's not subordinate. Like we said the other day, her breasts work and she has a womb. Like, you can't be superior to that, man. I don't care what you say, you can't be superior to that. All right, figure 23. Sibyl prophetess on Moor's coat of arms. No military leader would conduct would conduct tactical operations without first consulting a Sibyl and making the necessary propitiations to Mami and the ancestors. Long before the use of European saints, images of Mami or a Sibyl was worn on coat of arms or hung outside of businesses for protection and good luck. And again, you're going to see the mother, sister, aunt, grandma, or whatever with the turban on, and then the whatever's remaining of the turban, they roll it or they wrap it around the head. And when they wrap it around the head, that's supposed to represent the serpents. Like, for example, when Moabites put on their turban, and then they put on the main part, and then they cross it or whatever like that, and then they're about to wrap the two sides. Those two parts that they're holding are the serpents. You tell me Noah Jolly wasn't matriarchal? You tell me Noah Jolly didn't honor the divine feminine? Figure 24, Sibyl Queen on Moor coat of arms, wearing 6-point crown of Mami Tanit. All African queens were Sibyls, but not all Sibyls were queens or prophetess. Not all Sibyls were queens or prophetess, but all queens were Sibyls. All blacks are Moors, but not all Moors are black people. Sibyl Queen mothers. And again, book goes in. The Sibyls, the first prophetess of Mami Wata. African women are the only women in the world whose ancient mothers were not born under the yoke of patriarchy. During ancient times, for the first 6,000 years, Africa was ruled by a powerful order of matriarchs. Considering the current status of African women around the world today, one can hardly be convinced that her matriarchal presence and the enormous influence she wielded on the ancient world had far exceeded the limited physical, cultural, geographical, and political designations of which Africa and her religions were confined today. During her reign, African religions had reached very high levels of theological and ritual development, and were the original spiritual home of the world's first great oracles, prophetess, and prophets. Under the rising tide of African patriarchy, the sacerdotal order of Sibyls were sold as slaves to build and work the powerful oracles they established in ancient Greece, Rome, Turkey, and Babylon. What is now currently the holy seat of the Vatican in Italy was originally the sacerdotal seat of these ancient black Sibyl queen mothers. Centuries before Christ, they were known to heal the sick, restore dignity, and strengthen the weak, and restore sight to the blind. They were famous for curing lameness, epileptics, deaf mutes, and lepers. They were said to cast out demons and even to raise up the dead. Their prophecies are the oldest and most authentic in the world. They were the basis of Greek and Roman tragedies and plays. More astonishing, their prophetic books were later collected by the Roman authorities, who needed a Western theological foundation in order to compete with the soar of the West Christian Bible. As the first established sacerdotal African matriarchs, the Sibyls' cultural and religious impact was arguably the most profound on ancient civilization than modern history has ever revealed or cared to admit. From Mesopotamia to Libya, Mizraim, Kemet, Egypt, Ionia, Minoa, Peloponnese, Turkey, and Mycenae, Greece, and later Rome. The Sibyls were the primary, divine, Vatican, and absolute moral authority. The absence of African women's contribution in world's history as major economic, political, and spiritual players, as opposed to exceptions to the norm, were mere appendages of great men, has been problematic and disturbing at best. For the first time ever, her real story is being unearthed, revealed and told. In its telling, many shocking revelations that remained hidden for some 2,000 years will finally be known. The Sibyls, the first prophetess of Mami Wata, the theft of African prophecy by the Catholic Church, Mama Zogbe. Peace and love to all Moors worldwide, wherever they're at, wherever you're at. Just remember, instead of one apple, give her two. Instead of one apple, we beg you, give her two, so the BS could stop. So don't forget, use this one, share this one, spread the word. Don't forget, get the book and recognize how we messed up. Right? And give honors to where honors is due. Peace more. You got any close out?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this last one right here. This is coming out of the book of Goddess Symbols from Claire Gibson. Right in the intro, it says Introduction Symbols of the Goddess. Quote, I am nature, the universal mother, mistress of all the elements, primordial child of time, sovereign of all things spiritual, queen of the dead, though I am worshipped in many aspects, known by countless names, propitiated with all manner of different ways, yet the whole round earth venerates me. This came from the Lucius Apilius. This is the golden ass, the circa AD 160. This is off of in the caves that they found, and it was translated by Robert Graves. This was in the caves they found in the Damascus in France. So somebody in that time wrote that on the caves with the mother.
Yep. Can't even hide it. Can't even hide it. Peace and love to all. Keep in mind, never forget that our prophet, he did teach us about honoring the matriarch. So don't let these Moors try to convince you that it's all right for you to eat the footheel of a man because Noble Ali was a patriarch and all that BS. Don't even fall for it. So if you do fall for it, that's on you. But you know, the big matriarch been calling the phone down. So you already know there's something to lift more. You already know there's something to lift or something to carry or something to move or something like that. So it's all about apples. It's all about apples. Make sure to give you 2 apples instead of 1 so you can have some peace in your life, Moors. That was a supreme lesson by the Prophet. Instead of one apple, give her two, so you can save yourself the headache later that you're gonna get for only bringing one apple, because you already know you should have brought two. Peace and love to all Moors. Islam. Yeah, more.